What's up, gang? We are back. Yes, hello everybody and welcome to Against the Fence. This is your UFC 318 Aftermath show where we're going to be talking about the topics to your right as you're looking at the screen. We're going to be talking about, is the BMF belt here to stay? What's next for Max Holloway? Will he defend it? And who will it be against? We'll talk about Dana White and John Jones going back and forth between whether or not he's going to make an appearance at the White House show next year. We'll talk about Tom Aspinall responding to Alex Pereira's teasing of his move to the heavyweight division. We'll talk about what's next for Dustin Poirier. Where should he go after fighting? And we've got an exclusive for you guys tonight. We have got a short clip of Paddy Pimblett's take on the main event between Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier. Yes, that's right. Against the Fence gang have been boots on the ground at Next Gen in Liverpool, speaking to the baddie. More on that content will come on the channel later on down the line. So you've got to make sure you've got the notifications bell rang on our channel. But yes, that's right. We will be revealing a short clip from that segment. So make sure you're tuning in and you hit a like on the video. Welcome on in, gang. Yes, George, I see you. Ooh, Paddy's playing a trade event. A trade event? Oh, is he? Is it like Forex trading? I never knew that. That's new. Is that near where you are, George? By any chance? Is that near where you are? Good to see you in the house as always, Mr. Merry. I'm going to bring this down now. It's just some of the talking points. We'll obviously go through, as always, like we do on the channel, what's next for both the winners and losers following this weekend. Now, I wasn't around for the watch-along. I had a wedding in Portugal at the time. And I've got another wedding this weekend, actually. But I was able to catch the fights. I crammed the main card during the Sunday and the main event yesterday. So yeah, a lot of decisions, weren't it? A lot of decisions, all unanimous decision. Didn't catch any of the prelims. Yes, I know I'm a casual. Hate me for that later. But yeah, if you guys caught any of the prelims, let me know what stood out in your eyes. George says, yes, lad. How was Portugal, mate? Mate, Portugal was banging. It was good. Good weather, thank you. Weren't too bad. Absolutely shattered on the first day of getting there. Fell asleep on the beach, but you know, things happens. Not Forex trade as in, oh, tradesman. I got you, of course, because you're a tradesman. Well, that's quite random, isn't it? I hope you're able to catch that. Welcome on in Ayush Agarwal. Sorry if I've said that wrong. I do apologise. It's not my forte. It says, Gene versus Lopez prediction. Wow, off the cuff. Okay. Tough fight. Do you know what? I'm super stoked for that fight. Also on the show tonight, well, maybe we might get Dana White's announcement whilst we're live. Fingers crossed. Maybe you guys can help me with that and stay up to date on the socials and put them my way when it comes through. Maybe we can get it up for you guys later on as well, should it get announced. I fancy Gene Silver's chances. I really do. I think it'd be better for the division if Gene was to win because Lopez has had his shot at gold. Didn't look his best against Volkanovski, and I think Gene Silver just adds something fresh up the top of the division, really. So I've got to go with Gene Silver. George Murray says Gene knockout. If not, Lopez decision. Yeah. I'm hoping Lopez bounces back from the loss against Volk. I really do. Thanks for your comment, by the way. Smash a like on the video. Yeah, I really do, because I feel like he's going to learn a lot from that Volk fight, and it would be good to see him evolve from it, but it is what it is. It is what it is. But let's digress and talk about UFC 318 then. First thing I want to ask you guys is, should fight of the night gone to Holloway versus Poirier? Because the two had an altercation backstage. They felt like they done enough to win it, but it did go to Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez. And I can see why in a way. Would the main event been too obvious? But then at the same time, I'm like, when I watched it back, I felt that it wasn't as back and forth as Holland versus D-Rod. I felt like Holloway was in the driving seat throughout the whole fight. yes, Poirier had like little glimpses of moments where he won rounds. I think I scored it 2 and 5. But going into round 5, Max had already comfortably won the fight. Yeah, okay, Poirier was moments away in round 2 pulling off the guillotine, and we're going to get into more of the recap later on. But yeah, I just felt overall, the Kevin Holland, Daniel Rodriguez fight, look, Kevin was like, had D-Rod hurt in that first round, and D-Rod came out strong and looked like he was going to finish Holland. Yeah, Holland. So that's why I felt that it was maybe perhaps a good move. And look, you could argue back and say Kevin Holland's had his fair share of bonuses as well. And, you know, I think both Holloway and Pouyet are studs in their game. They've had the racks and racks amounts of bonuses in the past. I thought it was quite a nice touch, actually, to give it to Rodriguez and Holland. That was my opinion. Ayush says, Islam, that Germany guy, is good, bro. Which one are you referring to? Yeah, let me know. George Murray says, them boys getting paid big numbers in comparison to Holland and D-Rod. Plus, the Holland D-Rod fight was exciting and Dustin tired in the later rounds, slowing the pace of the fight. Yep, like that. Justin Villegas says, R.I.P. Ozzy Osbourne. Mate, I was gutted to see that news, man. Like, I'm a Black Sabbath fan. I got a t-shirt. I went to see him in 2014. I'm so grateful to have seen Ozzy before he passed. But yeah, some sad news today. Some sad news of the passing. What an icon he was. And a metal legend. He created metal effectively, I believe. Anyway, he's up there for sure. You know, Hall of Famer, without a doubt. And yeah, very, very good to see. Ayush says, you watch pay-per-view or pirated? Do you know what? We have Discovery Plus over here on Against the Fence channel, which is a partner of the UFC. So we pay monthly for that. Over here in the UK, we don't get pay-per-view. And yeah, if you need help with watching future fights, get into our Discord, because that might help you as well. Jordan, no current officer. Love that. So yeah, my take was I felt that Kevin Holland versus D-Rod was a much closer fight, and that deserved fight of the night. But let's start then the show by recapping the first fight, which was between Michael Johnson and Daniel Zilhuba, where Michael Johnson surprisingly picked up 29-28 across the board, unanimous decision. Look, I must admit, my picks for the main card were absolutely atrocious. I got them all wrong. I got most of the prelims right, bar one. So to see Johnson pick up the win against Zilhuba, really, really shocking. But look, fair play to Johnson, man. Honestly, you know, he made the adjustments in round 2 and was able to work his way into range a lot better. Maybe he was just too quick for Zilhuba. That's what I felt when I watched the fight. Who kind of looked a little stuck in the mud at times. You know, I say he was constantly going to the body kick too often against the southpaw, which you kind of makes sense as a strike you want to throw. But, you know, he just displayed little work with his hands, really. I think Johnson was slick at rolling with the punches when he had the opportunity to, and you know, an all-out great performance from Johnson. Zilhuba, I think's got a lot of work to do. His performance against Rybovics was far better, and Rybovics, it was a much closer fight. So yeah, that's going to be a tough one for Zilhuba, tough pill to swallow. But Michael Johnson's on a 3-fight win streak for the first time now since 2015. So, look, he's re-energized himself. He's looking good against young guys. And he's taken out some of the old headers as well. So, fair play to him. Justin Villegas says, I'm in the middle. I go to Buffalo Wild Wings. Good shout, actually. I've been to a Twin Peaks before. I quite like Twin Peaks to watch the fights. Me and the lady went there when was it? Last year in Orlando. Ayush says Mosfar is treated bad by UFC just because he doesn't finish people but win by decision. We'll get on to Mosfar maybe a little bit later on when we talk about Patricio Pitbull's win against Dan Eay. It's a good shout. But love the comment. As for Michael Johnson and Daniel Zilhuba, who are we going to give them next? For Michael Johnson, personally, I would give him Nasrat Haqparast, who's on a 5-fight win streak. Last defeated Ribovics back in March. So that's one of my options. I think he's been around the game for quite some time now. He's got great boxing. So both guys are going to use their hands heavy in that fight. Haqparast, I think his last loss was... When was his last loss? It was against Bob King Green, against another boxer. So, you know, but then since then, wins against John McDessie, Landon Quinones, Jamie Malarkey, great kickboxer, bit of a veteran, passed the test there. A win against Jared Gordon, I think, was probably quite impressive. But 2 back-to-back split decision wins for him. I think if you give him someone who's just coming off of another decision, makes a lot of sense. Other than that, for Michael Johnson, I'd give him the winner of Jared Gordon versus Rafa Garcia. Both guys experienced in the game. That fight is scheduled for September 13th on the same card as Diego Lopez versus Gene Silva. So if Rafa Garcia gets the win in that, great night for the Mexicans because it is Noche UFC, I believe, that weekend. And yeah, pair him up against another vet. That would be my call. Rivovics booked against Duncan. That is correct, George Merry. So yeah, a lot of lightweights getting booked up. That's a fun fight as well. I hope that one stays with it. Johnson versus Green. If he wins that, then a ranked opponent. I like that option. I believe those two fought. Didn't they already fought? I like the option though. I must admit, George. I did see it in the pack and I considered it. But I think King Green is currently booked as well, isn't he? The two have not fought. So I like that option. George. This is it, guys. This is the UFC fan channel where fan opinions matter most. Get your opinions in the chats, just like George done right there. If you've got any future matchups that you want to make out of anybody who coming off a win or a loss this past weekend, even the prelims, just chuck them in. We'll discuss them because that's what we do. So yeah, for Zilhuba though, I would like to see him fight Terence McKinney. I think that's a fantastic fight for him. McKinney's on a 2-fight win streak at the moment. He submitted Vladislav Borshev in round 1 back at UFC 317 last month. McKinney is either finishing fights or getting finished. So I think it's a good one for Zilhuba to get into, really. I think, you know, both guys we've both seen them fall short on occasions in the UFC. They're both young as well. A lot to prove. So that's the reason why I've got that fight in there. Zilhuba, how many submission wins has Zilhuba got? Because, I mean, look, Zilhuba's a crafty striker, man. He's long, he's rangy, he's awkward. And so is McKinney as well. But McKinney has been on the receiving end of some knockout losses. So, you know, only 3 wins for Zilhuba, actually. McKinney's ground game is improving. That Borshev win really surprised me. I thought Borshev was going to take him to a decision in that one. So, look, McKinney's proved himself. Can he prove himself against a dangerous striker in Zilhuba? I like it. George Mason, Mason Jones, perhaps. Is that for Zilhuba? Yeah, I mean, we want to see Mason Jones back in there for sure since making his return to the UFC. But I felt that the fight that Mason Jones got was quite an experienced guy. And that's the reason why I'm thinking, do you want to put him in there with another experienced guy? You know, Jeremy Stephens, it was a bit of an odd fight. Jeremy Stephens being out of the UFC for a while. But yeah, maybe perhaps you want to give him, he could very well get the winner or loser out of Jared Gordon and Rafa Garcia. Again, man, this lightweight division is talent stacked. And there's so many more fun fights that we got to see. But yeah, let's move on then. And let's just recap. We'll talk about the rankings. We had a bit of an issue with the rankings today. The UFC decided they weren't going to update them. I don't know if they've actually updated them on the UK website, but this is what it looked like prior to things moving. Well, Holloway is above Poirier even still. I'll see if I can grab an updated version if I can, but I'm not confident that I can. The best way is to have a look at welterweight division. No, still not updated for us in the UK because D-Rod should be ranked. I thought I saw something on social media that he was ranked, or Patricio Pitbull is ranked now, but it doesn't say anything. That's so annoying. So annoying. Hey, but we're just gonna have to make do with what we can, I guess. Of course, none of these guys will get a rank number next to their name, so for that reason, we shall head on back to the second fight of the main card. Get your chats in, guys. Get your chats in. Between Patricio Pitbull and Dan Eay. Patricio Pitbull finally got his first UFC win. It wasn't in his debut, unfortunately, but second time round. Better late than never. He was just much sharper than Eay with his boxing and showed great timing on his takedown attempts. Eay's more of a counter wrestler, but didn't really. He wasn't able to stuff Patricio's shots at all. They were just so well timed. Stylistically, this was a better matchup for Pitbull, I felt. And will he get another one next? Is the ultimate question, really, isn't it? To get Yair Rodriguez in your debut it's a tough one, man. He's so awkward. He's got such a unique style. Maybe Pitbull can climb higher in this featherweight division. I'm not too sure with him being so late into the game. He's past his best now. But look, there's still some fun matchups that we want to see him in, and I've got a solid one to make next. Let's head into the rankings. So really, he should be going in at probably number 10. I think he'll go just below Gene Silva. That's where he should sit anyway. George Murray says, Max Paddy, Justin Arman, 4-man tournament, number 1 contender. He should look that way, shouldn't it? Should definitely look that way. Love that comment. Love that comment. For Dan Eay, we'll start with Dan Eay. I think there's only really one option that you should give him next, and that would be David Unama. As we can see, is number 13. It might have updated now, but we're yet to find out. He's on a 4-fight win streak, but hasn't knocked out or submitted anyone, someone outside, in his last 3 bouts. He'll take a slow rise up the ranking for that reason, I feel. You know, he should probably get the similar treatment that Arnold Allen once got, because he was just going through decisions and taking slow rises. So I think David Unama is in the slow spot. He give him someone who just ranked above him. Dan Eay makes a lot of sense. I think it's a tough one for Eay. Unama's a solid guy. He's strong, awkward on the feet as well. Difficult to get out of the clinch exchanges with him. So I think Dan Eay is going to have a tough time against Unama. But look, man, it's a tough division. You got more and more people coming through now, and Eay has never really got himself out of the top 10. He's always that one fight away from potentially reaching top 10, and then he falls short. But he's never out of the rankings. How long can he keep up that is my kind of question with Eay. As for Pitbull, though, I wish they'd stop beeping. I'm doing a show here. I'm doing a show. As for Patricio Pitbull, before I get really interrupted again, we got to give him Josh Emmett. Who's lost against Lerone Murphy back in April. Okay, that was quite some time ago, but Josh Emmett, heavy hands, counter wrestler as well. I think it's a great stylistic matchup. Can Pitbull mix things up effectively like he did against Eay to get a decision in that one? Or will Josh Emmett find the mark and do what Dan Eay was unable to do and knock out Pitbull? If we see Pitbull get knocked out by Josh Emmett, then I've got to say his time is probably limited in his career. You know, he's probably not going to get climbed anymore, because if you look at this division right now, like, realistically, I guess it's Arnold Allen. It would be a fun contest. Maybe Brian Ortega, depending on where Ortega's mind is at. But he's got to get past Aljamain Sterling first. You know, I wouldn't mind seeing Pitbull against Sterling. I think that's a good one. Again, I think Sterling's just, his size might be a little bit awkward if he's able to get the back. It's a difficult fight for Pitbull to fight off of. So, and we've seen Pitbull lose to kind of stringy, similar build guys in. Oh, come on, where's my brain? Come on, brain. Who was it? Bellator guy. AJ McKee. It was AJ McKee, wasn't it? Yeah. So, you know, he got submitted, I think, by AJ McKee. So I'm not a fan of that sort of fight for him. You got Yusuf Zalal in the mix. We have no idea what's going to happen with him next, because he's been getting decisions as well. That is really off-putting. I hope you guys can't hear that. Yeah, so that's all I got for Patricio Pitbull for now, and Dan Eay. Other than that, for Pitbull, it could be Sterling versus Ortega. Loser, perhaps. But I'd like either of those options. That fight is going to take place in August 23rd in China. So I think it makes sense. What is actually going on outside? Is it no longer a cab or something? So it must have done. Oh, have I frozen? Have I frozen? I have. Bear with. Bear with. Interesting. Maybe I moved too quickly. That's what it was. Oh, man. Oh, what is going on here? I'm having a mare. I've frozen. There we go. Reset that. Oh, we'll connect. We'll reconnect. We're reconnecting. Hold the line. There we go. There we go. Apologies for that. Technical difficulties on the line. I think it's because I perhaps budged things a little bit. Sent them off course. Let's take us back then. That's enough for the featherweight division for now. Let's talk about then the third fight on the main card between Kevin Holland and Daniel Rodriguez, which was the fight of the night. Were you surprised by the outcome as well? I was quite surprised. Heading into this fight, I felt quite confident that Kevin Holland was going to get the submission win, because he is a bit of a demon in the welterweight division. I felt that in previous matchups he's had in that division, he's lost against specialists. Daniel Rodriguez is a bit of an all-rounder. He's got great hands, but I wouldn't say like he's a specialist in particular one area, really. He's, like I said, very well-rounded. So to see Holland lose against D-Rod was quite surprising, but D-Rod maybe surprised him with the way he started off the fight. I think the fact he came out aggressive early maybe disrupted Holland's rhythm a little bit, and he dropped Holland in round 2 and kind of reminded us that he does have quite good technical ability with his hands. As for Kevin Holland, you know, he had the opportunity to finish the fight in the third round, but Rodriguez was just so tough. He toughed it out, survived the onslaught, and took it to a decision. I felt that he could have done a bit better with the rear naked choke late in round 3, did Holland. Maybe he rushed it a little bit too as well. He did need to react quickly in that moment, though, with the clock ticking. But personally, I felt that I still feel that Holland should remain at welterweight. But as for Daniel Rodriguez, he has 3 wins in a row now. Kevin Holland, Ponzinibbio, and Morono. But what should be next for him? He should have a ranked name next to it. A ranked number next to him. Look at Jack Della Meddler's armor there. That is massive. That's an edit. That is an edit. That looks like it's Islam's. I don't know. It's probably Dariush's arm. That's no, not Dariush. Bilal Muhammad's arm. Yeah, that's weird. That's weird. Don't know where I got that one from. Anyway, so I think you're gonna get Daniel Rodriguez slotting at number 13, perhaps. Just below Carlos Prates. Prates is fighting very soon. If you're the UFC, do you give Daniel Rodriguez, the loser of Jeff Neal, against Carlos Prates? That fight is scheduled August 16th at UFC 319. I feel that the winner... I mean, he could get the... Would he get the winner? No, I don't think he would get the winner, personally. I feel like the winner might go on to other matchups, like a Gilbert Burns or a Colby Covington or even a Joaquin Buckley, you know? George Murray says D-Rod versus Wonderboy. Wonderboy wants to stick around. I like that fight. I think it's a better matchup for Wonderboy than Bonfim. Bonfim probably a little bit quicker on the feet than D-Rod. I think D-Rod will have a hard time against Wonderboy. I mean, everyone has a hard time against Wonderboy. His style is so unique, but... yeah. Maybe. That's a good one. That's a good one. But Wonderboy's out of the rankings now, isn't he? So, what else do you do for Wonderboy, really? I don't know. That's a tough one. Tough one, George. But yeah, I like where you're getting at. But if you're not going to give the loser of Jeff Neal versus Prates to Daniel Rodriguez, then you could give him Gabriel Bonfim, who's just below him there. Recently beat Wonderboy in a close decision, though. Both guys have reacted well since their last loss. That's Bonfim and Rodriguez, I mean. So, yeah, I think that fight makes sense. I think it's a good, fun one on the feet. Bit of a chess match. I think, is Bonfim a southpaw as well? Or was he orthodox? This isn't going to tell me. Whereas D-Rod's a southpaw, isn't he? So you might get the orthodox versus southpaw style of fight as well. Yeah, Bonfim, young. Is he young? Yeah, he's 27 years old. D-Rod's a little bit later in the game, but he's looked phenomenal as of late. But then have they also been against people who have been around the game for a little longer as well? So, yeah, maybe it's time for you give D-Rod someone... D-Rod's 38. Someone who's young and upcoming, you know? Because I can't see D-Rod climbing too high up in the rankings. There's not enough hype behind him. As for Kevin Holland, though, I would like to see him against Mike Malott, who TKO'd Charles Radke back in May. He needs to be tested against an experienced vet again, I feel, you know, because he fell short against Neil Magny, was winning the fight for the first 2 rounds, got subbed very late in the third, gassed out as well. Coming off wins against Trevin Giles as well as Radke, finished Radke, second round. So, yeah, for that reason, I would like to see him against someone like that. That's what I would do. Smash a like on the video if you've not done so already, guys. Good to see you in the house, as always. Or leave a comment if you're catching this the next day. Let's go on to then talking about the co-main event, sorry. But before we get on to that, do stay tuned. Hit a like on the video, as I said a second ago. We've got lots more to go through. We're going to be talking about Dana White's back and forth that he's had with John Jones. We'll talk about Tom Aspinall's opinion on whether Alex Pereira will move up to heavyweight. We've also got a clip for you guys from Paddy the Baddy that we shot as well, getting his take on the Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier fight. So make sure you're staying tuned for that. Lots more coming, and maybe we might have an update from the UFC. Dana White's meant to be going live to announce something. Hopefully we can get that to you on the waves. I've not seen anything yet. I'm just going to have a quick little look. I should probably Have I got this on my overlays? I don't think I do. Can I get a video capture? Nope. Can I add this into the scene? Window capture, maybe. Yes. Let's add it in, shall we? Can we add it in? No. Yep. Let's add it in. There we go. Bosh. Don't know if you guys can see it, to be honest. But it's there anyway. It's there just in case. That's the ATF notifications feed. Have we got anything that's far on the UFC? Has Dana announced it? Has Dana dropped it? No, he hasn't yet. We've not seen anything. He's not even given a time either. It's just said it live on Instagram. Who do you reckon the announcement is going to be as well? Get in the chats. Nothing yet. All right, let's pop that down for a sec. We'll hopefully head back to that a little bit later on before we wrap the show up. George Murray says Holland versus Sam Patterson. Let's see where we're going here. Give the Brits some more love. Tough opponent against Holland. Yeah, I mean, look, Kevin Holland will accept every fight. I'm convinced on that. So, but would he? I think Sam Patterson's got a little bit more way to go, I reckon. Breezy reckons, yes, Breezy, good to see you in the house. He reckons Aspinall versus Garn headline in Abu Dhabi, pay-per-view in October, right? I think that's probably the most logical option. In a way, I'm hoping we get the announcement for Islam Makhachev versus JDM. That would be my preferred announcement, but I'm not confident on it. With what we've heard lately in the media about Tom Aspinall having a bout agreed, I would say that this is the one that's going to be next. So it's got to be the option, I reckon, yeah. But back on to talking about the co-main event then, as Paulo Costa has finally returned to his old self. Was it enough, though? He got the decision win against Roman Kopylov, a young, rising kickboxing talent. For me, Costa looked a bit more leaner heading into this fight, motivated as well. He seemed much faster with his punches. He targeted the body well. Showed more aggression behind his strikes than Kopylov did. For Roman Kopylov, he had the opportunity to be a well-known figure in the middleweight division. He landed a huge right hand midway through round 3, which was his best strike of the fight. But unfortunately, one judge probably scored him that round. Two of the other judges scored it 30-27 in favour of Paulo Costa. But what is next for Paulo Costa? If you're going to give him a fight next, you've got to give him the loser, head into the middleweight rankings, the loser of Dustins versus Hernandez, which is scheduled August 9th, right around the corner. They're headlining that event as well. Dustins and Costa may have had a bit of a run-in, perhaps at a previous gym, Extreme Couture, I feel. Hernandez has got slick grappling. His submission skills, we got to see against Roman Dustins. I feel like Dustins has got what it takes in him to nullify those skills and perhaps keep it on the feet and make it a bit more of a chess match, which I think he would probably favour in there. So, would you guys prefer Paulo Costa to fight Roman Dustins, or would you prefer him to fight Alexander Hernandez? In a way, I feel like Dustins versus Costa might be better suited. Is it going to be a slower paced fight? Perhaps. Maybe it would be a fight night headliner as well, because Costa's very well known. As for the Hernandez fight, I like that fight as well because of the grappling threat that Hernandez possesses. We've not really seen Costa. I mean, we've seen him taken down against Luke Rockhold briefly in that fight at altitude at Salt Lake City that they had a while back. But other than that, not many people, I think, have been able to take Costa down. So Hernandez's wrestling would be tested in that fight, I feel. So, yeah, I like both options for both guys. If I had to pick one, I mean, look, I want Hernandez to beat Deleeze. I think Hernandez is somebody who I want to see fight in the upper echelon of the division. Especially if, it's a big if, Khamzat Chimaev was to beat Dricus du Plessis. Because he's a grappler. We would love to see a grappler versus grappler scenario should Hernandez get into title contention. But fight-wise, the way that they pair up, I quite like Costa versus Deleeze, so I'd go with that. George Murray says UFC 320 and 321 in October. I mean, October, the UFC always bring it, don't they? 2 pay-per-view events, that's solid. We usually get that, that's maybe twice a year now, that seems, right? Because we had one back in last month in June. Costa versus winner of Jared versus MVP. Yeah, I like that. Jared Cannonier is suffering a little. I mean, he's coming off a win against Gregory Rodriguez. In a way, the Michael Venom Page fight doesn't really make sense for him. But I see what the UFC are trying to do. Michael Venom Page has just come off of... He's a well-known character. He just beat Shara Bullet, who was also quite a well-known character, but wasn't ranked. And now he's getting a shot against a Jared Cannonier who maybe is past his best because he's getting on in age a little bit. He is 41 years old, but the win against Robocop, I think, was phenomenal. And I think that was a fight that most people felt that Robocop was going to win because he was the younger fighter and he's been destroying people. But MVP, he's just shy of 40, isn't he? He's like 38. Yeah, 38. So maybe it's an opportunity for Michael Venom Page to get himself up there, but he's not really. He wants, I think, Adesanya to get back into title contention, but I don't think it's going to happen. To be fair, I like the loser of MVP versus Cannonier for Costa, but you know, Costa's just defended his ranking against Kopylov, so you know, and Kopylov was just ranked one place below him. George Murray says Tom headlining UFC 320, Islam 321. Makes sense. I like that. Oh yeah, I think you might be a bit right there. I think you might be right. As I update Dana White's feed, nothing yet, guys. Nothing yet. Yeah. Yeah. As for Roman Kopylov, I would give him the winner of Shara Magomedov and Marc-Andre Barriault. That fight goes down this weekend at UFC Abu Dhabi Fight Night. Make sure you guys have got the notifications bell rang on our channel because we'll be doing a live watch along for that as well at a much earlier time. So do make sure you're also keeping an eye on social feeds for Against the Fence as well. You can find them in the description of this video. So yeah, make sure you stick around for that watch along because that'll be a fun fight to watch. Yeah, and I feel like it'll be an all-out striking war against either of those guys for Roman Kopylov. So yeah, I like that fight for him. And if you do, let me know. Captain Ralph's in the house. He says, "What's up, fellas? Raph in the building." Yes, Raph. I want to hear what you think about Max Holloway's next fight. And I want to hear what you think about Paulo Costa's next fight as well. And get your opinions on various other things that we're going to talk about, including Dustin Poirier, what is next for him outside of fighting. I've got 4 options that I'm going to share with you very, very soon. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about Dana White and Jon Jones going back and forth on the UFC White House card because Dana White is not very confident in putting Jon Jones in that position, but Jon Jones has since replied to Dana White's comments at the press conference. And then lastly, we'll also talk about Tom Aspinall responding to Alex Pereira teasing a move to the heavyweight division. So be good to get your thoughts on that. Stick around, guys. Lots more coming your way, as well as a short clip of Sai speaking to Paddy the Baddy Pimlet and getting his opinions on the main event from this past weekend. So stick around. George Murray says Ank versus Sharma MSG. Yeah, maybe. Usually they like to put Jon Jones at MSG, don't they? But of course, I think John Jones is not coming back anytime soon, is he? So he's got problems as well as Conor McGregor. So Captain Ralph says, for me, Tom Aspinall should fight in New York in November. So not someone else who wants to see Tom Aspinall in November. Now Tom's gagging to smash, says George Murray. Yeah, but he's been out for a little while waiting for John Jones, but finally he's going to get an opponent. We will hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get it live. I don't think we will get it live. Dana likes late announcements, don't we? And for us people in the UK, we usually wake up the next morning to find them. So, yeah, stick around, guys. Stick around. All right, that's all we've got time for on the middleweight division as we take us back to talk about the main event from this past weekend as Max Holloway picks up the decision win against Dustin Poirier. Do you think that was one of his best performances to date, or do you think that the Justin Gaethje one was more impressive? Because Max Holloway at lightweight is looking even more powerful. He shouldn't return to featherweight. Let's put it that way. We don't want to see that ever again from him. But look, Max sat Poirier down twice in round one, but Poirier recovered well. It seemed like Holloway was using more kicks than usual, and they were disrupting Poirier's rhythm, I felt. And his speed of his combinations was just much faster than Poirier's. Do you guys think that perhaps maybe the pressure got to Poirier a little bit in this fight? Potentially could have disrupted his performance, but I just felt that was a flawless performance from Holloway. He now belongs in this division. It's fair to say that at lightweight, and he should never return to featherweight ever again. I hope he gets given the same retirement treatment that Poirier received this weekend, because he deserves it. His career is as amazing as Dustin Poirier's was, and look, he's still going. He's fought the who's who in both now lightweight and lightweight and featherweight. As for Poirier, he had some success at the end of round two, and it was just enough to steal the round, I felt. Maybe a little bit too late. If he jumped the guillotine with more time left in the round, do you guys think that Poirier would have won the fight? Because if he would have done that, the whole arena would have erupted, right? There would have been a fairy tale cinema moment right there. Just to bow out to those kind of moments. I think Errol Hawani asked Poirier the same kind of question, what if sort of thing. And he was like, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. We could all say what if, but what happens, at the end of the day. Yeah, and one thing that I felt in this was, why didn't Dustin Poirier walk out to the Willie Spencer cover of Diamonds? Because that would have been terrific, right? I think us fight fans, we were all expecting that, right? Shane Ray like a diamond, that going into the arena as he walked out would have been like, it would have been emotional. But it would be too emotional, and that's kind of maybe perhaps the reason why he decided not to go down that route. And maybe the royalties that would have been paid to Rihanna, but still, I think maybe it was a smart move not to do that. But I think for the fans, it would have been great. Now, what is next for Max Holloway? Because Alexander Volkanovski spoke about this recently, and he feels that Holloway is now next in line for the lightweight title. Do you guys agree with him with that, though? If you're the UFC, do you put both belts on the line at the same time? You can do that. Surely they can, right? Surely there's nothing against the commission to do that. The BMF doesn't really belong. It's not a division belt, really, is it? It is just a novelty thing. I guess, in a way, it belongs to the lightweight division because Max is a lightweight. He could defend it at featherweight if he wanted to, but I can't see there an option for him there. So do you put both belts on the line, or do you think that maybe Holloway isn't the next man in line, coming off of wins against Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier, and there's other people above him who do deserve it, like an Arman Sarukian or, or someone else perhaps? Or you just make Max Holloway versus Dan Hooker for the BMF title. Is that not what Dan Hooker's perhaps waiting out for? Maybe. That's what I think. If we head into the rankings then, it's going to be updated maybe. Maybe the UFC might make Holloway climb a little bit higher to get closer to a potential rematch with Ilia Topuria. But do we want to see a rematch so soon? Admittedly, Holloway was landing some good strikes against Topuria, but Topuria did knock him out at the end of the day. And Topuria's only just won the lightweight belt. So I can't see the UFC wanting to do that fight just yet. So you got to do Hooker versus Holloway, I feel. Dan Hooker is quite a bit of a favoured name in the division. He's been around for a while. Split decision win against Gamrot. Decision win against Turner. Win against Claudio Puelles. Round 2 body kick. Is it enough, though? Is it enough? It's a fan favourite fight, but, you know, at the end of the day, you also got to ask yourself, who fits in that BMF bracket? I think Dan Hooker does. Does Charles Oliveira? Maybe. You could also do Holloway versus Charles Oliveira. Gets past Oliveira. Former champion at lightweight. Are you then next in line for a rematch against Topuria? Topuria wants to go on and do bigger, better things as well. He wants to fight Islam Makhachev, but Makhachev's got his hands full at the moment as well because he wants to challenge Jack Della Maddalena. It's going to be a bit of time to wait before we see that one. George says, Tom got Michael Chandler. Yes, 100%. Dustin versus Diaz, White House card. Oh, I don't think the UFC want to risk it. That's one. If there's one fight to get Dustin out of retirement, it would be that one. But I feel like they made such a big deal out of Poirier's retirement fight. It would be stupid for him to then return a year later. Holloway versus Charles 2, says Mary. Yeah. I think it's a bit of a redemption fight for Oliveira. Makes sense. George says it's a toss-up between Arman and Justin for next title shot. Then you can throw Paddy in the mix just for entertainment purposes. So Charles goes out of that list and have Hooker versus Paddy. Problem with this is that Topuria is open to fighting Paddy Pimblett. The UFC and Dana, I feel, are using that pull-out excuse from Arman Tsarukyan to set him back and not give him the shot at the belt. So Arman needs an opponent as well. Do you do Paddy versus Arman? I think Paddy versus Arman makes the most sense at the moment. Right? Because then that's a redemption fight. You beat Paddy Pimblett, you're there. But the UFC probably not going to do that because Tsarukyan's in his prime right now. I mean, so's Paddy, to be fair. I mean, it's a great fight. But is it a winnable fight for Paddy? I would probably put Tsarukyan the favourite. I would. Sorry. You know? You can't really make Tsarukyan fight Oliveira again. Could make him fight Justin Gaethje, because Gaethje feels like he's been hard done by. He should have got a shot at Islam. I think I've gone through this before, to be fair. So maybe you do Gaethje versus Tsarukyan if you're not going to do Tsarukyan versus Paddy. Paddy gets a shot at the belt. That's if Paddy's getting a shot at the belt. If Paddy's getting a shot at Topuria, then we're going to get Gaethje versus Tsarukyan. And then I would do Dan Hooker versus Max Holloway. That's what I would do from the UFC. But yeah, love the chat, George. As always, solid thoughts and opinions. It's what matters most here at Against the Fence. Let's move on then. I'm going to actually go back. Before we go into the gossip page, where we talk about Dana White, John Jones, Tom Aspinall, Pereira, let's talk about what's next for Dustin the Diamond Poirier then, after retirement. Do you guys think that maybe perhaps he could be a desk analyst? He's done it before. I think he was quite good at it, from what I've seen. I've not really seen much of it. Or do you think he'll become a podcast host? Because a lot of fighters go down that route of being a podcast host. Moicano's currently got one already. He's already planted seeds for something that he's got for when he does eventually retire. So maybe Poirier might fancy that. Or do you think maybe he'll open up a restaurant in Louisiana? He's got his own hot sauce. Surely he's into the catering industry as well. Perhaps I can see it. Or do you think he'll get into coaching? Will he stick around American Top Team or open up his own gym? UFC might be able to help him with that. They did with Frankie the Answer Edgar. So maybe we'll see Poirier's own gym in Louisiana. I don't know. What do you guys reckon? Do you think Dustin Poirier will be a guest analyst next, podcast host, open up a restaurant, coaching, or maybe even something else? If you guys got something else in mind, get in the comments section of this video. It'd be great to interact with you guys and also get in the chats as well. We're interested to hear what you guys have to say. Sign me up for that team, says George Murray. What's whoa. Always open, brother. Always open. He says also, shout out to Sai. Had an hour's phone call with him about setting up my podcast and gave me help and tips. Plus, shout out to JK for his help too. I'll hook up the barbecue meat from the butchers. Hey, my man. Been a pleasure, man. Yeah. Anything I can help you with, if I've got time, I will gladly put some time in, perhaps one Sunday evening. Always available for that. Hot sauce Louisiana combo, and then you make sense there. Gumbo. Yeah, you can see it happening, right? You can see it happening. Try to clear that chat. Awesome stuff. So now let's go into then. Actually, before we go into that, circle back round to Holloway versus Poirier. Before I forget, here's what Paddy Pimblett had to say about that main event.
We have to say goodbye to Dustin Poirier.
Yeah.
But what's your thoughts on that and Max's performance?
Max had a brilliant performance, man. Max, one of the best fighters to watch. Everyone was watching Max, but I thought Poirier looked very tentative.
Yeah.
Sometimes it didn't look like he wanted to be in there. That's not the Poirier I'm used to watching. I think we all thought it was going to go 5 rounds. I didn't think either of them were going to finish each other. Yeah. They had a 5-round war a couple of years ago, you know what I mean? I think everyone thought it was going to go to the decision because they weren't going to grapple with each other, they were just going to strike. Thought it was funny at the end when Max pointed at the floor.
Yeah.
But Dustin didn't want to.
Yeah,
I think he just thought to himself, I'm not getting knocked out in front of my home fans.
Yeah, exactly. This is where it gets real bad.
He thought, I'm not getting Justin.
Yeah, trust me. But also at the same time, like incredible performance from Max to still have that in the tank in the last moments after a 5-round fight.
He's always, that's what I mean. Max has got some of the best cardio in the UFC, lad.
So that's all we've got. And if you want to see more from that video, all you need to do is hit the notifications bell on our channel because it'll be coming right up. We've asked him who he would prefer next, and of course some other fun things as well coming in that video. So yeah, guys, make sure you stay tuned and keep your eyes peeled as well on social media as well. Oh, George says England women levelled in the 96th minute. Oh, nice. Not really keeping tabs on that tournament, I'm afraid. But yeah, let's go into then the
we have to say goodbye to Dustin Poirier.
Yeah.
But what's your thoughts on that and Max's performance?
Max had a brilliant performance, man. Max, one of the best fighters to watch. Everyone was watching Max, but I thought Poirier looked very tentative.
There we go. My bad. Oh, sugar. I have to delete it from there. There we go. Bro, I just deleted you. Why are you still here? Oh, my bad. I did it the wrong one. There we go. Cool. Circle back round. All right, let's talk about then Dana White having a back and forth with John Jones about the whole UFC White House event. Now, in the post-fight interview that he had following UFC 318, that's Dana White, that is, he said, it's not even about him winning the belt. It's you know how I felt about him. I just can't risk putting him in big positions in a big spot and have sometimes go wrong. Especially the White House card. And of course, it'd be a big card for the UFC to put on. And yeah, right, Dana is right in thinking of that. And Jones swiftly replied, I believe the next day, saying, I heard the comments made at last night's press conference. While I was a little disappointed, I'm still in the UFC's drug testing pool, staying sharp and continuing to train like a professional. I'll be ready for whatever comes next. In a recent interview, I shared that the opportunity to fight at the White House gave me something deeper to fight for. And why? That goes beyond paychecks or belts. Fighting for my country gives me a greater purpose. The silver lining in all this is knowing the fans see my heart. They see I'm ready and willing to take on anyone to represent my country on a historic stage. For me, it's never been just about the opponent. I'm chasing legacy, something timeless, something bigger than the moment. So for now, I'll keep grinding, stay patient, stay faithful. I'm ready to fight on July 4th. Here's my thing with that. I completely stand with Dana White in where he's at with that. Jon Jones, however, did the whole Donald Trump dance after beating Stipe Miocic in front of Donald Trump. If Donald Trump wanted Jon Jones to fight on that card, do you think Dana's going to overrule him? Nope. Would Donald Trump have a say in who headlines the card? Maybe. He might do. He might do. But then surely he would understand where Dana would come from in a business standpoint. But let's face it, that White House card does need someone who with a huge name, like a Jon Jones, like a Conor McGregor. However, they've messed up so many times. A lot of setbacks, out of the cage, personal problems, whether it be getting done for hit and run, whether it be like getting called out for your dick pics online, like all of that stuff, or you know, any legal issues. The UFC don't want to bring them back into the sport so soon. So it is risky for Dana, for the UFC to do that. But other than that, what is your option for the White House card? What are your options? Ilia Topuria against Paddy Pimblett? Maybe. It's a potential. Does Paddy need another win first, though, for people to be more hyped for that fight? If you're going to put Jon Jones in that position, would he finally accept a fight with Tom Aspinall? If it is outside the White House or whatever. I don't know. I don't know where I stand with that. Judging from his statement, one would say yes. One would say he'd be willing to fight Tom Aspinall. Because apparently the opponent doesn't matter, does it, John? It is about the spectacle. Something larger. Am I right? George Murray says, Jones just waffling to stay relevant. You gave up your belt. You didn't want to fight our boy. Have a good retirement. Stand with that, George. A trust barrier between Dana and so many fighters is broken, and his body language towards it show. Yep. Aspinall versus Alex. If Alex beats Ank. Yep. No, do you know what? That's another one. Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. You can trust that. You can have more trust in that. That is probably the best fight to make outside of any Jon Jones or Conor McGregor fight. Wales is in the house. Yes, Wales. He says throw Tyson Fury in there. Who knows? Who knows? Possible. But then do we really want to see a Tyson Fury MMA in a cage as a headliner? I don't know. I don't know. I like your thinking, though. I don't know who would fight, though. John Jones? Is it worth it? The press conference. No man alive will leg kick me. Says Wales. Says George. Bring back Francis. Would the UFC do a deal with PFL? I can't see it. Can't see it. They would have to make a loan deal with the PFL. 1 fight loan deal, and we'll give you $1 million. I just want to see the press conferences, Wales. Yeah, to be fair, the press conference, like at the White House as well, like inside, perhaps, where Trump's desk is. I don't know. Yeah, make that happen. Johnny Eblen fight was mad. Did you see it? I didn't see it. He lost though, didn't he? Johnny Eblen's a big talent, another talent that should really be in the UFC. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the whole John Jones situation and Dana White. I don't think Dana really should trust him on it. I really don't. So yeah, that'd be a good move for Dana. Circling then on to our next topic, which is about Aspinall responding to Alex Pereira teasing a heavyweight move. Now, Pereira posted a clip of himself weighing in at 243.5 pounds. I think he's in Thailand at the moment training, which would suggest that maybe he's considering a move to heavyweight. And Tom Aspinall has had this to say as he spoke to Stefan Struve via UFC Eurosport in the week. And Aspinall said, as far as he's concerned, I think that if I was him, I'd want to get a rematch and get the light heavyweight belt back, but I'm not him. So I don't know. But I think the weight thing, the guy and his team know what they're doing on social media. They know how to make headlines, which is good. I think as far as I'm aware, that's quite normal for him and other big light heavyweights to get up to 240, 250. So I don't know. Maybe he's just teasing it. Maybe he'll be in. I have no idea. So Aspinall could be keeping his cards to his chest. And yeah, he's right. Pereira's doing a smart thing. Get people talking about it, perhaps. But the way that I actually see this is I think he's intentionally blowing up, getting his frame bigger. He's not started a fight camp, so he's not cutting weight or anything like that. He literally looks like he's just come off of the couch at 243 and he's now training. He's just starting training. I think his move is to be a lot bigger coming into the rematch against Ankalaev so that he can pull away from Ankalaev's clinch game, stuff takedowns a lot easier, and keep the fight on the feet and maybe take more risks this time in a second fight with Ankalaev, because he did get outstruck. He got outpointed by Ankalaev, but there wasn't moments where he kind of rocked him and won rounds, which I was kind of hoping for. So I think Pereira is being smart with this. He knows the UFC want to make this rematch. Will it happen next? Who knows? So yeah. That's my take on it for now. I'm going to bring up the Twitter thing again, because just to check if we got any more updates. You can't see it at the moment. Where's it gone? Oh, actually, it's UFC Rankings. It's this one here. There we go. Bring this back up. There we go. Stretch that out for you guys there. Let's bring that down and let's give it a refresh. Do we have any announcements? No, we do not. As I said, I don't think we will. Great. Good team. So, yeah. No. Ooh. We do have something. Why is Jelton Almeida commenting on this guy's post? Honestly. Red Corner MMA though reckon that's what's happening. They reckon it's Aspinall versus Garn in Abu Dhabi. Ah, interesting. Okay. We'll see if they're wrong. We'll see if they're wrong. We'll see. Let's see. Okay. I don't know. Let's see. Let's head on back then for now. So we're going to wrap this show up. George Murray says, but kickboxing, heavyweight, UFC, heavyweight, two different things. Alex is a lump, but Tom's built like a council estate. Top comment, George. Yeah, no, it is true. It's far different. Far different. The weight jump is insane. 205 to 160 was the limit. I've been checking on Instagram, JK, and not seeing anything. Yeah, I think we'll get it tomorrow morning in the UK, unfortunately. But if that is the option, then I think that fight in Abu Dhabi is a bit gutting, if I'm honest. I think it's a bit gutting. I think it should be on a different card. All right. Awesome stuff, guys. You guys have been amazing, as always, in the chat. It's good to see you in the house, as always. Make sure you smash a like on the video if you've not done so already, and stay tuned for this weekend and for what's coming up this following week. We've got more content coming your way. The watch along will be at a much earlier time. The UFC touchdown in Abu Dhabi for a 6-fight main card. So make sure you've got the bell rang on our channel so you can tune in live. Don't watch alone, watch along, as we like to always say. The full Paddy video will be coming your way very soon. We'll be sorting that out as well in the next few days. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Okay, awesome stuff, guys. Take care. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.